Minnesota lawmakers visited schools all across the state, including in Duluth, to get a glimpse of how the education funding approved this year is benefiting schools.
Northern News Now's Taryn Simmons followed along as they went inside classrooms to see those dollars in action.
Moving on to box number 3.
Students from Lincoln Park Middle School in Duluth got some special visitors this Wednesday as senators went from classroom to classroom.
If education is funded, our kids benefit, our staff will benefit.
Principal Brian Kazmierczak is grateful that his staff and students can finally get the support they need, including more funding for mental health resources, all part of an education bill passed during the last legislative session.
What we're seeing are phenomenal teachers, phenomenal administrators, a lot of great kids that are really doing the best that they can with what they have.
The first one we're going to do is the stamp act.
Senator Mary Kunesh was one of those lawmakers who helped pass that bill. In May, Governor Tim Walz signed the 2023 Early Learning Education Bill, providing $2.2 billion to fund libraries, special education, and to hire more school nurses and counselors across the state.
I know that counseling departments, a few of us have said they've hired a new counselor because that was an important part of the bill, was mental health of our students and our teachers.
The third one in Texas paper again.
Although progress has been made, lawmakers say there's still a lot of work to do to fully support schools and student success.
We're still hearing that the cost of transporting the kids is really tough. Some of the issues around behavior modification still really need to be addressed.
So they're not happy being told what to do.
Working to create a bright future for our young learners.
Anything made out of paper got stamped.
In Duluth, I'm Taryn Simmons, Northern News Now.
Taryn, thank you. During the visit, members of the Senate Education Committee also learned about new challenges to bring back to the Capitol for the 2024 legislative session.